The ORYX chassis is a fully customizable, lightweight aluminum frame covered in a polymer shell. It maximizes adjustability to improve your accuracy. You can add accessories for stability, and it converts your rifle to use box-fed AICS magazines for more reliable feeding. This chassis is perfect for hunters that want a more stable platform. It's great for new shooters that are looking to upgrade their rifle without breaking the bank. It's for long-range shooters that want a more precise setup, and it's great for entry-level competition shooters. We're going to go over an unboxing of the ORYX chassis, talk about all the features and benefits, and then we're going to go over installation for our actions. So the ORYX chassis comes in this beautifully designed box. It has our list of features on the back, as well as the available colors. Opening the box here, we see our ORYX chassis. We got a set of instructions, we got some padding, and we got a cool MDT sticker. The first feature we're going to talk about is the adjustable buttstock length on the ORYX chassis. You can adjust the length of the buttstock, either shortening it or lengthening it, depending on the size of the shooter, and this allows you to get more square behind your rifle. Being more square allows you to control the recoil of your rifle better and remain on target behind your scope. How long your buttstock should be depends on your shooting style and the size of the shooter. With a more modern style of shooting with bipods and tripods, you want to get square behind your rifle. You're going to place the recoil pad in line with your dominant shooting eye, and you're going to reach forward, grabbing whatever support device, like a bag here, that you're going to be using and keeping your arms straight. It's always good to get a buddy to come check your shooting stance to make sure that you're absolutely square and you're not bladed off to one side because you have too many spacers in your buttstock. In order to adjust the length of your buttstock on the ORYX chassis, you're going to need a 5/32 Allen key, as well as the buttstock spacers that are available on MDTtac.com. We're going to use our Allen key to insert into the back of the buttstock through the recoil pad, loosening off the screws, but we don't need to remove them completely. Once the screws have been backed out, we could take one of our spacers, and with the slots in the spacer, we can insert it into the buttstock in the middle and then give it a twist. Once you have your required number of spacers inserted, you can then just tighten your screws, ensuring the recoil pad clamps down on the buttstock, and you're ready to go. The cheek riser of the ORYX chassis is also adjustable, so you can raise or lower it depending on the size of your shooter and the height of your scope. This allows you to get your eye perfectly in line with your scope every time you put your face on the cheek piece of the ORYX chassis. It's adjustable by using a 1/8 Allen key. You just have to loosen off the set screws on each side, and then you can move the cheek piece up and down. We also have the adjustable thumb wheels that you can purchase on the website. Remove the set screws and install them in the holes. You can also place them on the other side if you're a left-handed shooter, so they're out of the way depending on which side you're going to be shooting on with their rifle. These allow you to adjust your cheek piece or remove it for bore sighting or cleaning without having to bring your tools. The ORYX chassis also comes with a rubberized AR-15 style grip. It's comfortable in your hand and warm when you're shooting in cold weather. If you want to customize your chassis, you can also choose to install one of the other available grips on the MDT website or any other AR-15 style grip. We've made these grips easy to install. All you need is a 5/32 Allen key. You install it into the bottom of the grip, remove the screw, put your new grip on, insert your new hardware into the grip, make sure it's tight, and then you'll be ready to shoot. The ORYX chassis also converts your rifle to use AICS magazines. Just load your ammo, install the magazine, make sure it latches. It has an ambidextrous mag latch to make the magazines easy to remove. AICS magazines enable you to upgrade your rifle for reliable feeding and are the industry standard for bolt action rifles. We offer a ton of different magazines on the website: metal, polymer, short action, long action, and are available in many different calibers. Polymer magazines are lightweight, they're reliable, quiet because you don't have metal rattling around, and they're also more inexpensive than the metal options. Metal magazines offer the ability to fine-tune the feed lips on your magazines so you have more reliable feeding, and they also offer a lower profile, so if you're competition shooting, you can clear your props easier. You can choose anything from a 3-round magazine for hunting up to a 12-round magazine for competition shooting. Another feature of the ORYX chassis is the barricade stop on the front of the mag well. This allows you to put forward pressure into a shooting bag when you're shooting off a prop in a competition. It protects the magazine itself from this pressure so that you have reliable feeding. Another big feature of the ORYX chassis are the M-lock slots on the bottom of the forend. This allows you to attach a ton of different accessories to your rifle depending on what kind of shooting you're going to be doing. One of the things that we do have is the full-length M-lock ARCA forend for the ORYX chassis. This ARCA rail is great for mounting to the bottom of your ORYX chassis if you want to use a tripod for shooting off of, or if you want to mount different ARCA accessories like ARCA bipods. You can also attach different M-LOK accessories directly to the bottom of the forend. There's also a hole on the very front of the forend for the ORYX chassis, allowing you to insert a sling swivel stud, so you can mount either a sling if you're hunting or a sling stud mounted bipod. The ORYX chassis also has an M-LOK slot underneath the buttstock, allowing you to add any sort of M-LOK attachment that you would want. For example, a bag rider or a QD sling mount. Installation with these is quite simple. You just need whatever Allen key for the size of the M-LOK hardware that you're using. Loosen it off without completely removing the T-nut. Insert the nut into the slot, making sure that everything's in line and that it drops in. And then you can tighten the nut with putting slight pressure on it to make sure it grabs. Once everything's tight, you're ready to use a QD sling mount. The removable polymer side panels on the ORYX chassis are designed to be more comfortable to hold when you're shooting offhand, as well as they cover up the aluminum of the chassis to make it better for when you're shooting in the winter. We offer multiple different color options, as well as M-LOK slots on the front of the side panels as well, so you can mount more accessories to the side of your rifle. The removable side panels are super easy to install. The first step is just removing your cheek piece. Next, we're going to take a 3/32 Allen key and loosen off all the hardware, holding on the side panels. Next, the side panel just pops right off, and you can take your new one, making sure you insert the little nub into the back of the buttstock, and it lays down flat in place. Then you simply just start replacing all the hardware in the same position you took them off in. The bottom screws on the buttstock piece are a little bit longer, and they're captured by two nuts that sit in the other side of the panel. So just make sure those are still in place as you put your screw in. The same process goes for the panels on the forend. This new side panel comes with M-LOK slots, so you can add forend weights to perfectly balance your rifle. One of the most important things for having an accurate rifle is having a solid connection between your action and your chassis. The way that we achieve this solid connection is by machining a V with multiple angles into the bedding surface of our chassis where it connects with your action. This ensures that no matter what action you're bedding into this chassis, it's always going to maintain a solid connection with it, without having to go to a gunsmith to get it inletted or bedded. Another important feature, along with the V-block bedding of the chassis, is a free-floated forend underneath the barrel. Having a free-floated forend underneath the barrel allows you to put pressure on the forend of the chassis, whether you're using a bipod or shooting off a bag, so the barrel between these two areas is not touching. I can grip the forend in a way that it's not going to interfere with the barrel and affect the accuracy of my shot. Now we're going to go over the installation of your rifle into the chassis. This is going to cover the installation for most manufacturers and models of rifles, except for the ones here, which we're going to go over in a minute. All you're going to need for this installation is a 3/16 Allen key and a torque limiter that goes to 65 inch-pounds. Step one is going to be removing the nylon nuts that are capturing your action screws. Next, we're going to take our rifle action, remove the bolt to make it a little bit easier, and place this upside down. We're going to install the chassis onto the action. We're going to tighten down the front and rear action screws just until they make contact. We're not going to snug anything up yet. Next, we're going to give our rifle a little bump by holding the barrel. This ensures that your recoil lug is going to seat properly in the chassis. After you have ensured that the recoil lug has been seated properly, we're going to go back to the screws with a torque limiter here, and then we're going to snug the screws alternating from the front and the rear. We're going to start with 25 pounds and then go to 65. If you don't have a torque limiter that goes to 65 inch-pounds, you're going to snug down your screws until they make contact and then give it another 1/4 turn past that for each screw. Once the screws have been snugged down and torqued down properly, we're going to reinstall our bolt and then ensure it cycles properly. And your installation is complete. Next, we're going to cover the installation of the Ruger American short and long action, the Thompson Center short action, and Mossberg Patriot short and long action. Installing a Ruger American on an MDT chassis has an extra step where you need to remove the retaining pin from the bolt release and replace it with a longer one. So for this, you need to remove the bolt and then maintain pressure on the bolt release. And once you find the perfect spot, it should fall out. Next, you take the retaining pin that MDT supplies and you reinsert it into the hole for the bolt release. You'll notice that the mag latch on the chassis doesn't come installed And this is because of the position of the rear action screw that you're going to need to get to before you install the mag latch. So what we're going to do here is we're going to install your barreled action into the chassis. We'll torque down the action screws, and then we're going to install the mag latch, and you'll be ready to go to the range. The tools that you're going to need for this install are a 3/16 Allen key, torque limiter capable of reaching 65 inch-pounds, a hammer, and a punch. The first step that we're going to do is remove the nylon nuts that are capturing the action screws. For this, we're using our 3/16 Allen key. Next, we're going to take our barreled action and we're going to place it upside down, and we'll lift the chassis, placing it onto the action. We're going to align the mag well and the front and rear action screws. We're going to snug down the action screws just until they make contact. After we've tightened those action screws just until they make contact, we're going to grab the barrel of the rifle holding it vertically, and we're going to give it a few taps down just to make sure the recoil lugs on the rifle are seated properly in the chassis. After that, we're going to go to our torque driver, and we're going to start to tighten down the front and rear action screws, alternating between the two, starting with 25 inch-pounds until they reach 65 inch-pounds. Once the chassis and the action are secure, we're going to reinstall the bolt and make sure it closes properly. We're going to place our mag latch with the opening facing up. We're going to install the spring with the feet facing up and the U pointing towards the top of the mag latch. And then we're going to take our slave pin and install it through the hole on the mag latch and the spring. We're going to align the hole on the mag latch with the opening in the chassis, and then we're going to put the retaining pin through the hole and tap it with the hammer to push it all the way through. Once the pin is all the way through and flush on both sides, you can insert an empty magazine just to make sure it latches properly, and it is easy to take out. You can now reinstall your bolt and head to the range. Now we're going to cover the installation of a Ruger 1022 in the ORYX chassis. The tools that you're going to need for this is a 5/32 Allen key and a torque driver that's capable of reaching up to 65 inch-pounds. The first step is going to be removing the nylon nut that captures our front action screw, and we're going to use a 5/32 Allen key to do this. When we go to install the action of the Ruger 1022, there's a notch sitting at the back just above the trigger guard here, and it needs to slide into the corresponding hole in the ORYX chassis itself. We'll ensure that the mag well and the front action screw hole line up properly, and then we're going to install the front action screw. We're going to tighten down the front action screw just until it makes contact. After that, grab the barrel, give it a couple of taps to make sure everything's seated properly. We'll take our torque limiter and we're going to tighten the front action screw down until it reaches 60 inch-pounds. We'll use our torque wrench again to tighten the rear cross bolt anywhere between 15 to 40 inch-pounds. You'll have to go out and shoot your rifle to test it to see what works best for groupings, but mine usually sits best at about 35 inch-pounds. Now you're ready to take a Ruger 1022 to the range. The ORYX chassis is compatible with a ton of different rifle actions. Just look at the bottom of the product page to see which ones we support.